Good evening, everybody. Dr. Gloria Pope here with Black Girl Everything, and I am here to do a special interview today with somebody I'm so excited to meet and learn all about. So tell everybody your name.
So my government name is Yvette Aisha Battle, but my title is the Black Sober Social Worker.
Tell me about it.
Okay, so I'm Black, I'm sober, and I'm a social worker. But no, it's just I just really my purpose, and it wasn't intentionally done by me, but it was by my higher power, who I choose to call Jesus Christ. He had several different callings in my life. Mm-hmm. And so thankfully one of those was to reach sobriety. So that's part of my hashtag, my name, the sober. The Black is very important to me because, as we know, especially as Black women, we are, as far as the system set up, like on the bottom of the totem pole, according to them. And so I am very, very, very pro-Black. I didn't used to always be that way. I used to live a total lie. I used to lie about everything about myself, from my name, my nationality. I grew up in the South where, or even in America where, lighter and, if you're Hispanic or something, that makes you more exotic, so I didn't really own, the Blackness of myself. And so now that I am been born again and I'm in sobriety and I have a spiritual awakening, I am so pro-Black, which does not make me anti-white, but it makes me pro-Black. Mm-hmm. Social worker. So I am 2 weeks shy of my master's in social work. And I am turning in my application for my license tomorrow. So my purpose is to spread awareness about social issues, whether it be, I don't want to say like I'm into like the tabloidist part of celebrities, but the issues that happen in social issues that happen with Hollywood or whatever, but definitely social issues that affect marginalized and oppressed communities. Yeah. And so I choose to do that on my social media platforms, or any chance I get an opportunity, like I feel like I'm doing right now. Mm-hmm. So I spread awareness about social issues. I spread awareness about recovery and addiction, because it's very shamed and stigmatized, and there's not enough awareness and education. And I share issues about being Black. So that's how I put my hashtag together. And then I had to try to find a way to put my faith. So the end of my hashtag name is the cross, to make sure that God leads me in everything I do.
I think that was a lot, and I think it's all totally cool. Definitely cool. No, it's okay. But, like one of the favorite things I watch that you post is, I'm assuming those are your previous mug shots, correct?
Yes, it is.
All right. And I look at that and I just connect with it. I also have never been arrested, and I've been blessed not to actually suffer from a substance abuse issue, but of course it's been in my family, so I see it. But what is your reasoning behind sharing that? Because I think it's so powerful when I look at it.
Well, I used to do it, to be honest, for the wow factor, because I know I look nothing like those pictures anymore. But it was part of that. And it was also about, I learned really soon on in my recovery that the way you recover is by uncovering. So I'm totally transparent. And, before I started using drugs, and before I got to the point of mugshots, I was like a high class showgirl in Vegas, whatnot. We didn't have social media. Like literally Facebook came out the year after I started using. So maybe if I had seen if there was groups, there's so many recovery groups on Facebook and stuff. Maybe if there was people, and I seen more transparency of that, it didn't matter what you look like, what economic status you come from, how many degrees. My 90% of my family is pastors. My dad has 5 master's degrees. My stepmother has 2 PhDs. So maybe if I seen that it didn't matter where you start, that the disease could take you anywhere. Yeah. And if I seen transparency like that, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I still would have thought, oh, that won't happen to me. But maybe that would have deterred me. And even if it not to deter somebody to experiment, at least let somebody know, just because I have 110 misdemeanors and I have a felony. Well, 2 if you count the one as an adolescent. And yet I've been fingerprinted for 3 agencies. They know the record and still hire me. Yeah. So I show that to show that if you can come from a very, very low pit and be where I'm at and where I believe God is leading me, then somebody can do it for themselves. And I think a lot of, like I said, a lot of the stigma of addiction comes from people not being transparent about where it took them. Or even if you're not using, even if you didn't have a substance abuse, there's a lot of people that wear a mask that even though it might not have been substances, we all have had a vice. And so I just want to be transparent to let somebody know that they're not alone. So somebody can say, oh, this is unforgivable. And if I'm sharing, and I don't just show the pictures, of course I tell stories with it. So if I share that, it lets somebody say, okay, somebody else did that too. It's not just me. I'm not unforgivable. I'm not the only one that's went desperate measures to do desperate things. So that's my point of sharing it, because we do overcome by our testimony in the blood of the Lamb.
No, I definitely do agree. And I think that's why I find it so powerful, because every time you share it, I sit there and I just look and I'm just like, well, look where she's come from and where she's gone. There's so many people in our communities that are just stuck in this place, especially with substance abuse. I saw it. My father's a recovering addict. I think he's at a 40. I think he's about 29 years sober now. So I get it. And I know where it can happen in our families, especially within our community, and how people are utilizing this to deal with their trauma and stuff like that. So why have you decided to go into social work? Was it had to be, I know, was that what the Spirit shared with you, or was something that you decided you want to do because of, your experiences?
Well, actually, I feel like it was all the above.
Mhm.
I actually went into college because I was on public assistance. I was graduating from rehab for the third time. And I graduated, and the husband I was with very shortly had told me that I could go to school. And then once no, he's going to work. And once I graduated, he changed his mind. I had no income, I had no education. So I left. And when I graduated from the rehab, I left my husband and went to a shelter. And I told my worker, I was like, I need something to do. I don't know what it is, but you got my DSS. I'm like, you got to find me something because I need to stay busy. So she called me, she's like, oh, there's a welfare reform program through DSS. You go to the college. So I did academic prep. I started out in 3 remedial classes. So
Yeah.
like English and math, like I was so behind. And so at first it was just to keep me busy. And then I thought I wanted to do substance abuse. But once I started, the main just case stack, and then once I started, I didn't really agree, and I still don't agree with all the things about science about the drug addiction.
Yeah.
So, and also I got tired of hearing about drugs like so much because I've done so much NA. And so, and I was in a shelter, they didn't have Wi-Fi, my class was online. So I said, I wanted to change, I changed my major, but I wanted, because I already had taken so many classes, I wanted to stay like, the next major had to already need the classes I taken. So human
Gotcha.
services. So when I took human services, and then I realized, wow, I could still do substance abuse, but this is so much broader. And so I thought I was gonna stop with my associates, and people was like, this is not gonna get you nowhere. And then even then I was like, I didn't know I was gonna do well like I did. Like I have all my degrees are honors degrees. So at first I was just getting grades, like I was like, okay. And then I was like, well, hold up, maybe I'm good at this. So I'm like, well, if I got an associate, I might as well. And that's so I transferred to Lehman for my bachelor's. And then I was like, well, I'm doing this, I might as well be like, you need a license. So I just kept going because I was like, I actually got addicted in a healthy way to school.
Yeah.
Doing well, and I didn't expect that. So the social work, I think I fell into it, but obviously my life, I believe it's strategically planned by God.
Yeah.
So I thought it was an accident, but obviously it wasn't. And I'm grateful. I got my KSAC-T, but I'm grateful I got the social work because you can do so much with a social work degree. I want to do therapy, which is what I plan on doing, but you can do policy, you can do research, you can do probation. There's so many areas you can go in social work. So I'm glad that's the field major I end up picking.
I think that's cool. So why do you want to go into therapies? Like, what is your reason behind wanting to go as a focus?
I don't. That's a good question. No, I just believe that's what God has called me to do. I like the one-on-one. No matter what type of, like, as long as you're doing micro work, you're doing therapeutic counsel regardless. So even if I'm doing an after school program, that's still therapeutic. You're still doing the theories. I've been doing therapy for the last year with my music therapy group. So even if it's not a one-on-one classified, this is therapy, you're doing therapeutic services. So I like helping people, and I like not just helping, I like being able to help the mind realize that, because we don't do stuff for nobody. We have learned theories to help you realize that you have the answers already, or help you come to the answer. So I like the whole how to organize. It's yes, I can kick it with you, be on the block, and I like you, my girl. But when you sit down and you have a very strategic way of knowing how to do that and understanding people's stages of change,
Yes.
understanding people's, the dynamics, it makes it a little bit more empathetic to help people. So I want to help people be empowered by
Okay.
on their own, because that's what happened to me, and it happened for me. I had to have the one that would have been untraditional. Sat down, she's like, "Look, bitch, your urine's dirty again. You gonna lose your children. What you gonna do?"
Yeah.
That was totally against ethics, but that gave me that's why I got where
That's
I'm
what
at.
you needed. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another reason I want to be able to have that lingo to, yes, have the power, because it is power. Yes, have the power to help somebody, but also still be able to be myself
Mm.
and be able to help somebody like me.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that. I actually was faced with that today when I was working with some of my staff in my school, where I'm telling them that sometimes you have to meet people where they are. So, you're not getting results. So I went out to a parent. I'm like, listen, I told you already. I need you to go to this particular doctor. And she was like, okay, I'm gonna take them, because everybody else was like, well, we made these suggestions. I said, no, I'm talking to her. So I had to pull her to the side outside and speak to her in a language that she could understand. And so that's what people need. They need to know that you're relating to them in the real world, not in this, oh, it's okay, because everything's not okay. And you need
Yeah.
somebody to tell you
Yeah.
straight up, that's not okay.
Yeah.
And people have such a hard time hearing that. So I wholeheartedly agree with you wanting to reach people. I mean, then you're so reachable and so entertaining anyway, that people are going to want to talk to you anyway, because your energy is just so good.
Thank you.
It just definitely is. That's why I'm so excited to be here talking to you. So you're 2 weeks away from graduating. So what are your steps after that? Where do you see yourself going in the next few years? Like, what would you like to accomplish?
Okay. So obviously I want to get this license. I heard it's
Yeah.
license abuse. I know people that got A's all through school and still failed the license 5 times. So this license, I need this license. My husband wants to move out of New York.
Okay.
Um, I don't, but I'm going. Well, I don't. I didn't think that's the direction I was going, but I do submit to what my husband wants. If he wants to move, we move it. But he's lived here his whole life. I have not. So we have two total different experiences. To me, I'm
Yeah.
still a country girl in a big city. He's like, this is all I've seen. I'm tired of the fast pace. He likes to slow down. So, nevertheless, within the next
Mhm.
couple of years, I need at least 3 years underneath a clinical social worker to get a clinical my LCSW.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stay. I would like to stay somewhere doing therapeutic and get my supervision so I can get to see LCSW. My goal, and this is what my dream was years ago, and I gave it a.
Please tell
I
me,
want
dream big and tell me, what is it? What is it? What is it?
to be a director of a faith-based recovery facility. That's what I
That
want to do.
is beautiful.
But it's scary. I don't want to do the administrative and all this.
But
I don't
that's
want
you
to do
don't deal with that stuff. You get somebody else to do the stuff you don't like.
it. But that's what I want to do. I actually, I co-created with a sister of mine at my church, a Kingdom Christian Culture Center. We have a faith-based recovery ministry, and we meet every Monday. And it's not just for people who've had addictions; it's also for codependents. So it's for people that's been affected. So we're both in the same room, and I've never heard of that before. So what's funny? I tried to run, like I said before, I tried to run away from the drug addiction field, and I keep getting back over there. So I think that's where I'm supposed to go. But I like that I learned all the theories and the
Yeah.
psychology, because it makes me more broader to understand more than just the substance abuse. It's about the trauma, intergenerational, and race theory, critical race theory. So my goal I never said that because I didn't want to do. I think I do want to. I want to run it. I want to run one or be part of one. That is my goal in the next couple of years.
Very good. And it's okay to dream big. And as we start to dream, it evolves and it changes and it becomes something different. Because we all start things like, okay, this is what I want to do. And then as we start to grow with it, then like, oh, but it starts turning and blossoming into something beautiful. So just don't be scared to dream, because dreaming is amazing. You would have never thought when you was out there high one day that you was going to be where you are right now.
Absolutely not. I remember telling people, like in the crack house, like, I'm going to die out here. I never thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to die being in the wrong place, wrong time, because You know, in the beginning, I never was. Some people are automatically paranoid when they get high. I was not, but after a while, and it did affect my brain. And then the game, I like seeing a lot of stuff, and I was like, so now my mind is thinking crazy thoughts, but it's stuff that could happen because I've seen what's out there in the streets.
Yeah.
So I used to always say that I was going to end up being in the wrong place, wrong time, or be accused of something. And I really thought I was going to die out there. And so you couldn't have told me I'm a minister in training. I'm a godly wife. You know, I'm a mother to my child, and my oldest one, who I did abandon when he was 10 months old. My mom ended up raising him. He's 19 now. He puts on Facebook, I'm the number one mom. Like that's only
Yeah.
God's grace. You know what I'm saying? So I never thought I would write a book. I never, like, you could have told me, let alone 10 years ago, let alone last year, that's or 2 years ago, that's not where you could have told me that I'd be, because I got 7 years clean, and that's a long time, but it's really not
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, I'm willing. I'm just trying to stay on the potter's wheel, whatever he has for me.
Exactly. So now you mentioned your book, because that was my next question, because I knew about it. So
Okay.
tell me what about your book a little bit, so if you could share with people so they can get it.
Well, this is my book. That's right here.
I love that. I love that.
This is my book. So I can I just share why I wrote the book.
No, you can tell me everything you want. Go right ahead.
So people used to always tell me, yo, you gotta, because I was, so my Facebook used to be totally different. Okay. It used to be totally different. The whole, what I posted about, how I posted, I'm talking about like mild porn, like profanities. It was the whole, I was before I got saved. And I was also with my ex-husband, who was very short relationship, but you know, he had a lot of infidelity. So I was always posting stuff knowing his girlfriends were
Yeah,
watching.
yeah,
Just of the world stuff. And I
Mhm.
remember the last time I left him and I said, from now on, you're going to start reading me being self-sufficient. So I started sharing when I'm in the shelter, when I almost had a mental breakdown coming off. I was on 4 psychotic medications at one time. You know, I shared my son, who, you know, hey, he did have, you know, he has temporary special needs. Like all the whole process,
Yeah.
I shared how to being transparent. And people was like, you need to, because I have a lot of people back home that follow me. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. Rest in peace, Breonna Taylor. But people always like, you got a story, like you got a book, you should write a book. And I
Yeah.
just never, my best friend used to always say, girl, but your story is your meal ticket. You need to stop telling it for free. And I was like, what? And so I just, you know, and even when the preachers be preaching, like, you got a book in you that are out here, I never related that to me. Like, that ain't for me,
Got it.
you know? And so one day I put one of my testimonies in a marriage group, and they got like 20,000 hits in like an hour. And people was inboxing me, you come do this interview, that interview. And I know every good idea is not a God idea. So
Gotcha.
I prayed and I said, God, what do I say yes to? What do I say no to? And he said, oh, I'll take it. I started, let me rewind, I'm sorry. One day I was at home, and an older teen texted me. And the reason why I mentioned that she's a teen is that we have nothing in common other than we go to church together. She was 18 at the time. She was like, Yvette, Miss Yvette, that's what she calls me. God told me to tell you to write a book, and he told me to tell you to write it from front to back. She said that God was so clear to her, she thought somebody was in the room with her. It scared her. So I started writing the book, and I started writing it on my phone. Like when my son will be in the park, I'll write it on my Google Doc here and there. And I was confused. I didn't know if to do it by chapter or by
Yeah.
topic. So I stopped because I got in a little relationship. You know, relationships can be distracting. So and I was single for
Really?
7 years. I was totally celibate for 7 years. And then I got distracted a little bit. And fast forward to when I was getting the interviews on the Facebook.
Yeah.
And so I prayed and I said, God, what do I say yes to as far as these interviews? And he said, you can't say yes to nothing until you finish that book. He's like, you're not going to keep going on these platforms without leaving people with something. And
Mm.
so literally, this is during the pandemic. And I was taking summer classes. I'm in advanced standard masters. So my master's program was only a year. So I'm in the middle of that. I'm taking diagnosis in the summer, which was a 5-week class. So I'm taking a 15-week class in 5 weeks. And I just sat in this table and I pumped the book out in like 3 weeks. I'm like up to 2 a.m. every night. And so I wrote the book. And I wrote the book. It's more than just drugs. The book is just telling a story. Like I mentioned, I grew up in a upper middle class neighborhood. We had 3 cars. My dad's a minister. I grew up in church, not in Christ. There is a difference. I was in church all the time, but what we did at church Like, I don't ever remember my mom praying with me or nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it was something we did. It wasn't something we was. Um, and growing up, I was raised around a lot of white, counterparts. When I went to elementary school, my dad left. My dad left the home overnight. Like literally, one day he was there, the next day he wasn't. And I was going through a lot between him leaving. My mom having her own issues going on. I don't tell her story. That's her. She don't do drugs or alcohol, but she had other vices to keep her company. And I was around children that was not just black, but children from poverty. And so it was a real big cultural shock for me. And so I got picked on a lot. Or why do you talk like that? You sound white, and pull my
Yeah.
hair, or also then I
Mhm.
felt I had to prove my blackness. So I started getting a lot of
Mhm.
balance. I became very promiscuous, like very promiscuous because I wanted the attention. I didn't know that till I got older. And so I had an eating disorder, bulimia. So the book tells of how I went. The drug of choice
Wow.
was not. It was I had the drugs of choices way before I touched the substance. It just wasn't the one I was looking for. So I tried it with the sex. I tried it with
Wow.
the fighting school. I
Mhm.
tried it, and then once I became a dancer. So the book is more than just the drugs. And yes, drugs is my loudest part of my testimony, but it's not. I'm
Yeah.
very, as we all are, very intersectional. So I wrote the book, and I'm sure you probably know the people that you know the least is the biggest supporters. So like like 90%, 80, I say about 80% are people that wrote the book I've never even met. I've never it's been through social media. And that's another reason why I share the way I do, because that's the platform God has given to me to reach global. Like my
Yeah.
book has went to I know I've mailed out to the UK. I know that's how, and I know I've mailed out to Africa. So that just touches me to know. It's one thing when I tell my story like this, because when I say it, it's over. But I know that if you have my book in your hand, like you can read that. Like, did she just say she did that like 5 times? Like you can keep reading what I just said. So
Yeah.
it's a little different when you know your stories in somebody's hand. But I wrote the. It was. The title of the book is "It Was All Necessary," and so despite everything, I honestly wouldn't take nothing back. I wish I did. I raised my son. That happened. I went to a rehab. I left 3 days later. I said I was going to just wear myself out. I thought I would be done in a month, and it turned into 12 years. So that was not intentional. I wish that didn't have to go the way it did, but God still worked all things out for the good. So I can't honestly say that I like if I could change anything, I would, because it made me who I am, and I don't know if I would be used the same way if I didn't go through and experience the things that I experienced.
Mhm.
And
That's so amazing. So how can people find you and your book?
okay, so my Facebook is Yvette Aisha Battle. I don't know. I know in my bio it says the Black Sober Social Worker. I don't know if you type that. I've never tried. I need to see if it comes up. I'm sure it does, because I've intentionally wrote it over and over again because somebody taught me, like, if you do that, like you Google, it'll come up. So I've been
Mhm.
that's the reason why I post so much. Um, so you can inbox me there. You can always email me at YvetteDrew4 at Gmail. This book is under YvetteBattle.com, but people have been having issues with like it takes them automatically to PayPal. I don't know. I need to get a different domain with that because I probably lost a lot of souls with that. Um, and then Instagram is the blacks, being honest. And then the Instagram is because I know some people like, you know what, just forget it and just kept on going. So I need to fix that. The black sober. Oh, sure. I know how brains are. I got a brain. So and the Instagram is under the Black Sober Social Worker. Yeah.
That is so
Then
cool.
that's how you
So
can find.
I want to thank you so much for your time this evening. I am honestly, it's a conversation I needed to hear, because when you speak to people, is always I always magically speak to people and I hear things I need to hear on the day that I spoke to them. So this conversation was very refreshing, and I wanted to thank you for it. And I hope all my listeners was able to catch something, that and one of my key things I'm gaining from this is that we are all from somewhere, but we all can be somewhere different if we just put the energy into it. And I would like for you at this point in time to say anything that you want to leave the audience with.
Um, I just want to leave them with the fact that don't let no one speak death into you. And when I say death, it doesn't have to be. I remember when I told my vocational counselor I want to go to college, And he looked me dead in my eyes and said, no. He said, I had too much damage. I needed something with a shorter commitment. And I said, when I come back with this degree, I'm going to show you. And now I'm on my third degree. Now, I understand he had the best interest because he was thinking about what I had been through, where I was at. And I understand a little bit. But if you know God has called you to, God has called you to something, then you do the assignment. And it doesn't matter who will, who won't, who cares, because, and I deal with that. Don't focus on who ain't giving you the clap and who's not seeing you, and the people you thought be the biggest supporters don't, because Jesus wasn't even accepted in his own town. So you got to stay focused on what he called you to do. And if it's just to reach one person, then you've done your assignment.
That is so beautiful. So beautiful. So thank you so much for your time. And I totally look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you so much. Have a blessed one.
Bye.
Bye.